My office is currently a disaster. And the reason that my office looks like this is because I have been creating listings all morning. I've been creating designs. I woke up feeling inspired and I just went on a rampage creating new things for my shop. We are going to keep the creative energy going today. I'm excited to bring you along with me because today I'm starting a brand new shop. I want to share as much as I can about this new shop. Of course, there are some things that I will have to keep private just to protect the integrity of the shop. Unfortunately, the way that Etsy works is if you drive a bunch of eyeballs to a shop and those eyeballs do not purchase anything, Etsy's algorithm interprets that as you don't have good products, you don't have good things to push and sell, and it can really tank a store. So I will be sharing as much as I can about this new shop, of course, while protecting the integrity of it. I hope that makes sense. I hope you understand, but today is day one. What we are going to be doing today, I want to devote day one to research. I already have a little bit of an idea of what I want this shop to be, what I want to focus on in this shop. And this goes hand in hand with really the two main shop types that I recommend somebody start with to start a print-on-demand business specifically on Etsy. The first shop type, which my OG shop falls into, is a more product-specific shop. This is a shop that sells one product type and has multiple different niches on that given product type. This also is described as more of a general store, and this is really the path that I followed with my first shop. And I think it's a strategy that can work time and time again with somebody just starting print on demand. The second type of shop is a niche specific shop. And this shop type actually focuses on multiple different product types, but is focused specifically on one niche. This type of shop, I think, is a little bit trickier to do as a beginner or somebody who's completely new to print on demand, e-commerce, selling online, because you aren't really familiar with what niches there are, what niches sell well. And so this, I think, can be a little bit trickier of a shop type to start as a complete beginner. With that being said, I already have the experience in the more general shop route, being a lot more product specific. Now I'm looking to shift gears for this new shop. I've tested tons of different niches and found tons as well that I've had sales in, and ones that I feel have the potential to really be brought to a bigger scale and be a focus in a shop that is more niche specific. That is what I'm going to be doing with this new shop, which I'm so excited for. Mainly, I'm really excited because I'm going to be exploring tons of new product types that I have never sold before, and I'm going to be attempting to sell in this new shop. What I've learned in the last year and a half of selling on Etsy is there's really only one piece that you need in your shop to see sales, and that piece is demand. There has to be demand for what you are selling. This is where research is so crucial. How Etsy works is Etsy's a search engine. Customers come to Etsy with a specific search query or idea of what they're looking for, and that is what they begin typing into the search bar. What Etsy is going to do or try to do is match that customer's search query to listings that they have on their platform. They ideally want to find an exact query match for what the customer is typing in and match it with a listing that is available on their platform. So if the products that you're selling aren't matching anything that a customer is looking for, your products just aren't going to be found. And if they're not going to be found, then they're not going to be sold, and then it's just not really the ideal scenario. How I typically measure that demand is in a few different ways. One of the main ways being search volume. If you have watched any other of my videos or any other videos in general about print on demand and specifically selling on Etsy, you've probably heard at some point somebody saying,
find high search volume, low competition keywords.
That's what I'm referring to when I'm talking about search volume here. It is really important because of how Etsy works. Now, finding that search volume I find is easiest done with a research tool, and I actually have Everbee installed. So you can see here where there is the monthly searches to the right of each of these search queries that are popping up for me. That is going to give me some information about the demand for each of these search terms. If we look right here, this has nearly 4,000 searches currently, compared to the keyword below only has 157 monthly searches. That's going to start giving some insight to what people are looking for. The second piece of that is also the competition. Even if something has really high search volume, if it also has a ton of competition, as a brand new seller, it's going to be very difficult to rank for that type of keyword and have your products shown, because you don't really have the social proof yet. You don't have the credentialing behind your shop with proven sales record, proven reviews showing that customers are happy with their purchases from you. And that's not necessarily something to be discouraging. It's just something that you have to work up towards. And usually that's going to be by finding those more high search and low competition keywords and niches to tap into. Some other indicators of demand are seeing things on Etsy like bestseller badges or popular now badges. You'll find these sprinkled throughout listings in the search results, but sometimes you also don't see these badges until you actually click into a listing. So it can be beneficial to click around, explore, dive into listings, look at their images, look at what keywords they're using, and really just start to get a feel for what listings that are ranking on that first page of search look like. I found this listing here. We can see it has a bestseller badge, and another thing that it shows is it is in demand. 2 people have bought this in the last 24 hours. This is another little badge that will pop up on some listings as you might be clicking around and doing your research for your shop. Here's another example of this, a listing that I found. It's a bestseller as well, and 11 people have bought this listing in the last 24 hours. Another thing that sometimes Etsy will show is how many views a product has had in the last 24 hours. This listing has had 20 plus views in the last 24 hours. Clearly, it's something that people are searching for and finding, thus has demand. Another quick thing I'll share is this listing I found. It is in 5 carts. Etsy will show this badge up to 20 plus. So if you're able to find listings that have 20 plus in the cart, that's another great indicator that that is something that is in demand. All of those are things that you can find without a research tool. It is going to require a little bit of digging. You're going to have to spend some time clicking around, exploring to find them, but it is completely possible. And that's actually how I first started my first shop, my original shop. Since I've been doing this for a little over a year and a half now, I've also come to love research tools. One of my favorite research tools that I use is Everbee. It was the research tool that was showing the specific monthly search number next to those search queries earlier in this video. The other component that I use with Everbee is their product analytics tool. How Everbee works, if you weren't familiar, it is a Chrome extension. So when I highlight over to the left of my Etsy page here, we can see the Chrome extension pops out. When I click into product analytics, it is going to pull up all of the data about the listings that I'm seeing on this first page of search. What I usually do is search the entire database. This is going to not only just look at that first page of search, but look at all of the pages of search so that I can get a bigger picture of what is selling and what is in demand. Because I'm looking for demand, there is a few metrics that I like to see in order to validate that demand for me with Everbee. The main ones are monthly sales and monthly revenue. They go hand in hand. For example, the top listing here has over $67,000 in estimated monthly revenue and nearly 2,000 monthly sales just on this one listing. And I can see the monthly revenue and sales for all of the listings following it. And right now it's just ranked by what has the highest monthly sales. Besides monthly sales and monthly revenue, another metric that I like to see is listing age as well as shop age. You will find tons of listings that are bestsellers, but it can be discouraging when they are bestsellers to shops that have been open for years, or these listings have been on Etsy for years. I find it really encouraging when starting something new to find shops that are also new, or listings that are relatively new as well. I like finding listings that are less than a year old, or ideally, if I can find listings that are less than 6 months old, I particularly like that a lot. The top listing here is a great example of that. It's less than a year old and clearly it's a powerhouse. Scrolling over more, we can see the shop age, and this shop in particular has been open for 46 months. We can scroll through all of these shops though and start to look for relatively new shops. I can see this one right here. This one's less than a year old. It's only 8 months and it has this listing that is currently bringing them in over $12,000 in monthly revenue. Of course, keep in mind, monthly revenue does not necessarily mean that that is their take-home profit. With print on demand, depending on the product type, the average profit margin is around 30%. So doing the math, they're still making a decent amount of money just off of one listing. I'm going to spend about the next 30 minutes or so going ahead and looking for all of these factors in the niche that I'm looking to dive into. And also, if you wanted to try Everbee, I do have a link in the description that will give you 50% off your first 2 months with Everbee.
The next day.
Good morning. Day 2. I am currently getting myself ready. I got a lot of really productive research done yesterday. I was mainly looking for inspiration for product types. My furry friends are joining me, and I feel like I came up with a pretty solid strategy for how I want to start and kind of launch this new shop. Because I'm looking to be more niche specific with this shop, I feel like that is such a hard thing to say. Niche specific, niche specific, niche specific. Anyways, I am looking to expand into multiple different product types. And with that being said, I think the best approach to launching this type of shop would be to dive in to one product at a time still, really get some good listings up in one product type, and then expand into the next one from there. So kind of like I'm working in phases, product 1, then product 2, then product 3, and then so on and so forth if I want to add more products. I actually had a really good phrase shared with me this morning at the gym. I was talking with a friend of mine who is also in the entrepreneurial space, and they said, Taylor, you are, hopefully I get this right, you are a mile wide, an inch deep. What is best to be is a mile deep and an inch wide. That really resonated with me because I think that's so applicable to print on demand and just entrepreneurship in general. I feel like I always want to do a million things all at one time, which is not very possible. There's only 24 hours in a day, and I wish there was more, but there's not. And so I have to be a little bit more strategic with my time and what I'm focusing my time on. I wanted to share this because I feel like this is so relatable to a new print-on-demand seller. There is so much opportunity, and I feel like often new sellers are just frozen with opportunity because there's so many different product types they want to sell. There's so many different niches they want to try to sell products in, and they end up doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they are a mile wide and an inch deep. So they're not really getting deep into any of the things that they're doing. They're just kind of skirting that line. Whereas often in business and as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you are going to typically see more success when you are only an inch wide and you get a mile deep. You're laser focused. And I really liked that. I think that's something that I'm going to write down and keep within eyesight of me. I'm a very visual person, and I think that's a little reminder that I need because your girl likes to put a lot on her plate. I like to try to do all of the things, and that's just not always the most efficient way of getting results and seeing the results that you want. The inch that I am focusing on in this new shop today is branding. Yesterday, I feel like I got a really solid plan down for the products and kind of the direction that I want to go in regards to that, but I need to set up the actual storefront today and create a banner, logo, and some brand elements that I'm going to carry into my listings once I start creating listings for the shop. Long-term goal with this shop, now this is speaking well into the future, but I would love to turn this into an opportunity to scale on Etsy, and then also down the line, potentially turn this into a Shopify store. Typically, I find the best types of shops that transition really well off of Etsy are ones that are more focused on a specific topic niche. And then from there, they transition into their own website, still selling to that target audience. Because that is my thought process and long-term goal with this shop, it is important that I have my branding locked in. I think branding in general is really important when it comes to Etsy, not to be a brand and to be recognized as a brand, but just to be trustworthy, if that makes sense. I feel like your branding gives the perceived value of what you're selling. When you see really just kind of slapped together, poor branding, the colors don't match, it's like random fonts, it gives the perception of low quality products, cheap products, and that's not the vibe that I'm going for. I have noticed in just my OG shop that when I took the time to create some really great branded listing templates that all follow a similar color pattern, use the same fonts, they're clear, they're not super crazy or anything, they're very minimal, but they just give a very clean, professional look. Setting up that branding, I feel, has been a huge influence on the conversion rate in my existing shop. Average conversion rates when it comes to e-commerce are around 1 to 3%. And in my existing shop, I have maintained over a 3% conversion rate. Last time I checked, it was like 3.7, but I'll put whatever it is currently right here. So today's mission is to set up the shop branding in the new shop. Let me show you the simplest thing ever. When I say that branding does not need to be complicated, this is what I mean. These are 2 sample logos that I created. This is basically what the logo of the shop is going to look like. Of course, I am not showing the shop name because I want to protect the integrity of the shop and really give it a fair fighting chance in the Etsy algorithm. But I have 2 different versions here, and I just got these colors from a color palette that I found inspiration from on Pinterest. One of the things I absolutely love doing is going on Pinterest and finding color palettes. I literally just typed in color palette on Pinterest, and then I found this one right here. I liked the coconut and mandarin color, so that is what I decided to bring into this color palette here. What's cool about Canva is if I just click into this right here, all I had to do, so let's, for example, I'm going to just change the colors of this really quick. So we'll just do something random just so I can show you exactly. Oh, that actually kind of looks cute. Okay, so what I did to pull these colors over from Pinterest is I clicked the background. I went to add a new color, clicked into the color dropper tool. And what's cool about Canva is I can actually go over to Pinterest and pull from that color palette. Same thing for the text, just click the text, go up to the text color, add a new color, color dropper, and same thing, click the color that I want. So if you are struggling with trying to figure out a color palette, just use Pinterest. Now here's where I think I'm really gonna keep you on your toes. So for the shop banner, I am just doing a mini shop banner, which I'm going to put the dimensions for right here, as well as I'll put the dimensions for the large shop banner. These are the dimensions that you want to use when you are creating these items in your shop so that they don't look fuzzy, blurry. I see this happen far too often where people are creating creating these assets to their shop at the wrong file size, and then they just look fuzzy and not very crisp and clear, which just looks unprofessional. So use these dimensions. What I'm doing is the mini shop banner, and All I'm doing is using one of the colors in the colors that I just chose for my logo. These are it. These are the two options that I have. So I'm going to play around and see what looks best as the combination for the storefront. If I want to do the dark orange, if I want to do the orange for the banner, and maybe the lighter color background for the logo with the orange text, so that maybe it kind of pops out. I think that could be a cool combination, this bottom logo right here. Or maybe I'll do it reverse, or maybe I'll just make it a little bit more matchy, but that is all I'm doing for my branding. As I start to create listings in this shop, which is on tomorrow's plan, and I'm really excited to start creating products in this shop, what I'm going to start off by doing is creating a listing template for the specific product type that I'm looking to start off with in this shop. So I typically, when I create any new product on Etsy, I love to use a listing template. I will create it in Canva. I'll show you it here, and I'll have all of the necessary images, mock-ups, as well as infographic type listing images that just tell any important information about the product that I'm selling. And those will match the branding that I have here. So I'm going to be using the same fonts. I will repurpose this logo here to include on those different listing images, just so that everything looks good. It looks high quality, and hopefully I establish a really great look in my shop that's going to make customers not only love the products that I'm creating, but also feel trust in the brand that I have and have created on Etsy.